Hello everyone and welcome to The No Show. I'll be your host Nathan Orenstein and today I'm going to be reviewing Superman. Superman is written and directed by James Gunn and stars David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, Eddie Gathegi, Nathan Fillion, Isabela Merced, and Skyler Gisondo. It's been 3 years since Superman has entered the public eye as a beloved metahuman, but his recent involvement in preventing an international war started by a US ally has led his intentions to be questioned. When billionaire Lex Luthor uses this as an opportunity to turn public opinion against him and subsequently gain power himself, Superman must restore his image as well as protect the world from Luthor's evil plan. It is a reboot of the Superman film series. Superman marks the beginning of a new era for DC Studios as it ushers in the DCU, or DC Universe, a soft reboot of the DCEU, DC Extended Universe, that is hoping to compete with the MCU, or Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you couldn't decipher that sentence, basically all you need to know is that 1, we're getting more superhero movies, yay, and not only that, but they're going to be part of a connected universe in which you have to watch every piece of media within that universe to fully understand the movie that you are currently watching. Lovely. At least the DCU is spearheaded by James Gunn, the seasoned comic book movie director behind the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy and the Suicide Squad. Not only that, but he also wrote and directed Superman, as I mentioned in the intro, so there's kind of a lot riding on this movie for him. So, knowing how important this movie is in kicking the DCU off, putting it on the map, and cementing James Gunn as the right guy to be heading it all up, how does Superman do? I'm by no means a Superman expert, so I'm going to try to avoid getting too wrapped up in the details of the actual Superman stuff, and feel free to take my opinion with a grain of salt for that reason. I'm more so interested in talking about how I felt about this as a superhero movie in general. And I thought this was fine, but nothing all that different from any other run-of-the-mill superhero movie. The movie is incredibly overstuffed, giving you a little bit of a lot of different things, but seemingly never enough of any one thing. This is aided by pacing that gave me whiplash, going a mile a minute in the first act before slamming on the brakes for Act 2 and speeding back up in the finale. The narrative through line is also just enough to move the plot, but certainly isn't anything interesting, and any side plots move too quickly to dig deep into it all. I thought the James Gunn-ness of it all worked well though, as he was able to inject equal parts humor and heart into a familiar story while maintaining his own brand of style. I actually really loved how this was filmed as a whole, especially in fight scenes and when Superman is flying, and it nails that comic book feeling that it's obviously based on. And speaking of Superman himself, I thought David Corenswet did a pretty great job with a great supporting cast too. The film actually does a good job of making Superman feel vulnerable, which is cool on the whole, but also means we don't really get as much kick-ass Superman action as you might hope. We do get a lot of Krypto the Superdog though, and I hate to be that guy, but he's just way too prevalent in this movie. They use him almost as a crutch, knowing that, of course, the audience will love a dog. But above all else, I find myself largely failing to remember individual scenes from this movie. It all goes back to the overstuffedness and the pacing, and it just kind of feels like superhero movie mush by the end. On a minute-to-minute basis, it's enjoyable for sure, with likable characters, a fun script, and some good action, but pretty much none of it stands out to me when I look back on it as a full movie. None of this is anything to sink your teeth into, and I feel like the initial hype of this movie is going to wear off real quickly when people realize that this didn't really accomplish much of anything as a whole. And it's for that reason that I don't think this fully works as a kickoff to an entire new universe of films, even if that's not what I'm reviewing this based on at all. Superman is like a stick of chewing gum that loses its flavor after 5 minutes or so. It's fun enough in the moment, but it's left zero lasting impression on me whatsoever. It has an everything in the kitchen sink approach, which keeps the breakneck pace and energy up, but it also just doesn't feel very satisfying when everything's said and done. I don't think there's very much from this movie that I'm going to remember by the end of the week, and at the time of writing this, one day after I saw the movie, I'm already struggling to remember a lot of what happened. It's a harmless, mostly enjoyable watch that's elevated by James Gunn's trademark style, but it also just kind of blends in with the other 100 or so superhero movies that we've gotten over the course of the last 2 decades. I'm going to be giving Superman a 6 out of 10. If you enjoyed the review, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. And if you've seen Superman already, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. I've been Nathan Orenstein with The No Show. Thanks for watching.